Hi, it's Hannah. Today's video is completely inspired by Fragrantica, and I know that it's sometimes a little bit politically incorrect to say that you access the site, have an account on there, reference it from time to time. I do all of the above, so I'm just going to be honest about it. They have incredible SEO, so when you search a perfume, that's one of the first sites that pops up, and it's pretty thorough, and if you're in a rush, it's pretty easy to find information on there. So of course I've gone on there, and I'm sure everybody else has also. But the reason that this is inspired by that site is because I have had Coromandel on my wish list for a really long time. I would say over a year at this point. I think the first time that I smelled this perfume was a number of years ago, and then I had a sample last fall, and I knew immediately that I wanted it, but I kind of hoarded that sample, and then I finally bought a bottle. I knew that I wanted one before the end of this year, before 2022 was finished, and I got it and I smelled it. But in the meanwhile, when I was wanting Coromandel but not wanting to buy it right away, I went on Fragrantica, and they have this little section for every perfume where you can see what other perfumes are like the one that you're looking at. So kind of like dupes, but sometimes it's more just that, one perfume might remind you of the other. So they're usually not exact dupes, but sometimes they're really, really close. And I find it handy because if you think that a perfume reminds you of something, you can go on there and then you can see if you're right or wrong about that. So I really appreciate that. And then you can also vote up or down if you agree or disagree with other submissions for that category. So that's kind of nice too. So Coromandel, if you look at the Coromandel EDP, there are no dupes for this fragrance. However, the one perfume that's listed under reminds me of is Prada Amber. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, I actually have Prada Amber. Why don't I pull it out and see if it's true or not? And this is actually my mom's bottle, and she wore it for a really long time. You can see that it's half full. She probably got it right when it came out. So this perfume came out in 2004, which makes this bottle 18 years old. I think that's kind of crazy to say. So yes, it's been, with my mom for all this time, and she does hang on to things. And then I took it from her because I was like, well, you're not wearing this. So I am really, really familiar with this perfume because my mom has worn it so much. And I have memories of hugging my mom and smelling Prada Amber on her. It is a gorgeous perfume. And I'll get into what it smells like. But this is a perfume that I was really, really familiar with. And when I smelled it, I could see why people had said that Coromandel reminded them of this. However, I would say that the two are nothing alike. And I think that Coromandel is much, much, much better and more interesting. It has different layers that reveal themselves every time you wear it. Whereas Prada, I think, is not as layered and not as interesting. So Prada Amber, released in 2004, is more of an amber accord, and it's quite linear. It does not change very much. The notes, some of the ingredients are actually right on the bottle, and Prada does that with a lot of their perfumes where they'll just list some of the ingredients, which is kind of cool. So what they've said about this one is that it's labdanum, patchouli, benzoin, and sandalwood, which is great. The patchouli in this is velvety, chocolatey. It's not screechy or green or scratchy at all. And it does remind me actually of the patchouli that's in Coromandel. Coromandel has patchouli blended with benzoin and vanilla. And so that portion of the perfume is what reminds me of Prada Amber. Now, Coromandel is much more interesting, as I said. It has notes of rose and, people always talk about a white chocolate accord when they talk about Coromandel. And I think for the longest time, I didn't want to wear it because I really don't like white chocolate. I like dark chocolate a lot, so that was kind of a turnoff for me. It was kind of a warning sign, but I will say that the white chocolate in this isn't very prominent on my skin, so I don't think that anyone should not try it because of that. I think you should definitely still smell it. It's probably the combination of vanilla and benzoin that's giving that white chocolatiness, because white chocolate can sometimes be flavored with vanilla, and sometimes not, For me, I just think it's very creamy and buttery and sweet, and it doesn't have a lot of flavor in it. So don't worry about the white chocolate too much. For me, what's most interesting about this is also that there's frankincense in the dry down, and I'm just really having a moment with frankincense perfumes. It's also a little bit powdery because of orris, and I love orris in perfumes. But that being said, it's not powdery so that it's like a makeup powder or a boudoir. I know people often think of a dressing room or something like that. It's just enough powder to keep things light and not make this to be too heavy, which is really nice. The other thing that I like about Coromandel is that there's rose in this perfume, and it has more of a sparkling, addictive top layer that is more interesting and more prominent than what's in the Prada Amber. From what I remember, and for the past few weeks, I've been wearing these side by side. So I've worn Prada Amber one day, and then the next day worn Coromandel. Some days I've worn Coromandel on one arm and Prada Amber on the other arm. I've tried to switch it up so that they're on different arms. I just find Coromandel to be so addictive, and I find Prada Amber to be almost boring. And like I said, just way more linear, It has a bit of a magnetism to it because it is an amber. It works really well in cold weather because of that. But I would say where Coromandel is a hug, Prada Amber just seems like a handshake. Like, it just seems like a nice, friendly handshake. And, Coromandel just seems like something that you want to snuggle up with. And it's just more fun to wear, more pleasing to wear, more addictive. Definitely more of a crowd pleaser. I've gotten so many compliments every time I wear this. And a lot of people have just said that it just smells like me. And I think that that's the incense. I've just been wearing a lot of incense perfumes. And I think in some ways that's just become my signature. So people just catch a whiff of incense, and they know that that's my perfume. But the incense in this is blended with so many other things. So you're not going to get just incense, and there's no smoke, which is also sometimes nice. Sometimes I like wearing things that are smoky, and sometimes I don't. But definitely, I'm really, really into Coromandel, as you can tell. It's been on my wish list. I finally have it. I've been wearing it every single week. I make it a point to wear it once a week at least so I can enjoy it, and so people around me can enjoy it too. And yeah, I guess I'll have to check in 18 years and see if I'm still liking wearing it, because that's how long I've had Prada Amber. I still think Amber is a beautiful perfume. It's quite refined, and I think it does have that as a Prada DNA. Like, Prada perfumes are really refined. Even Candy is not an immature fragrance because of the benzoin. You know, it has a grown-up quality to it. And so, you know, I'm not saying that I wouldn't ever wear this. I did enjoy wearing it when I wore it over the past few weeks. However, because my mom has worn it so much, I find it just a little bit difficult to wear because I always associate that smell with her. You can see my bottle's a little bit old and there's sediment in the bottom of it. The sprayer is a little bit sticky and the perfume comes out in a squirt. So I don't know why this bottle just did not stand the test of time. And when I was, you know, doing some research, I found that I'm not the only one. A lot of people have experienced a sticky sprayer. That's probably because of the ingredients in the perfume, right? So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just something that I've experienced, and I've seen that others have experienced as well. And yeah, I will be putting away Prada Amber for now, I think, and I'll probably be wearing Coromandel for the next, I don't know, till the snow starts to melt. So maybe until the springtime, probably for the next 4 or 5 months. That's the reality where I live, is that it's cold all the time, but I'm enjoying it so much. And yeah, if you were looking for the short version, no, it's not like Prada Amber. Maybe there's a little tiny bit of it that does remind me of Prada Amber, but it's not a dupe. So if you like Coromandel, you are just going to have to shell out for Coromandel, and that's it. The one perfume I will say that reminds me a little bit of Coromandel was Sketch by Violet Parfum. I did a first impressions video. They have a patchouli, Sketch has a patchouli benzoin base. So that portion of it immediately reminded me of Coromandel. And but other than that, I don't think it's as well done. There's a nutmeg note in there that I did not enjoy, and this is thankfully without the nutmeg. And I mean, when you're getting a Chanel Les Exclusifs, you're getting something that is it's just a little bit more interesting, and I don't know, in my opinion, just better than everything else that's out there. They're both designer. This is way more affordable and currently available. This is only available at Chanel boutiques or online, and if you're in Canada, they have free shipping. And I've heard that if you email them, they will maybe send you samples, although I've heard that they don't make samples of the Les Exclusifs anymore, but that might just be a rumor. I don't know. I haven't tried to procure any myself. That's just something that I've heard on the grapevine. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.